So back to work on the Hurricane, and today is exhaust day. We ordered up a bunch of pre-bent pieces because we do not have a mandrel bender for bending tubing this thin. It's all stainless steel, and we have a big chunk of straight tubing. We also have some supplies to make a muffler. We got muffler packing, some perforated 1 3/4 tubing, and we have some thin stainless steel plate to wrap it all in. So that way I can make a muffler that's whatever shape it needs to be to fit where we need to put it, as opposed to trying to order mufflers that wouldn't work. So all sorts of fun parts. Now I just have to make, first step is making some little end plates that go on the tubing and make it a nice seating spot against this gasket, and then a plate to bolt it on. Gotta make those parts first. And unfortunately, this size tubing is not quite big enough, and this one will work. It's very, very thick, so I need to throw it in the lathe and bore it out. So I've got these little flange pieces to weld onto the end of the tubing. Now I have to make a plate that looks very, very similar to this. You may recognize that. That's a intake manifold plate from the Jag. But we don't have a CNC plasma table, so it's not going to be as easy for me to make that as it was for Mike. So anyway, I just have a piece of steel here. I'll mark it all out, measure the distance between the holes, and then I will cut it out with the plasma cutter because we haven't tried it out yet since we got it. Something that I did not realize because I didn't read about it is that it has its own built-in compressor, which is pretty dang cool. Oh, it's so nice. I mean, that's just freehand, just following a little mark on the plate. Turned out pretty good. The first one I did, I screwed up, so start over on this one. But the rest I'll just do with the Piranha because it's way easier than freehanding the outside of that. The finished one, and in case you're wondering how I got the hole so perfect, lathe, of course. So time to throw this one in and tune it up as well. Just like that, we got sleeves and a little clampy plate that holds it on.
Boom. Perfect.
Just like that with the exhaust too. There it is, that's it, it's done.
The blow around the fender technique.
Wouldn't get much suspension travel there. Time to start chopping up some tubing. Got both header pieces started here and bolted on. Now it's a matter of making it go the right direction, because obviously we don't want exhaust exit in the face. So chop this one down, and I'm basically just gonna rearrange all these little pieces of bend to get it the right direction. This one, it's actually a piece that I chopped off there. If I just rotate it down, it points pretty close to the way that we want it to point. I might need to cut a slightly more bent piece, but you get the idea there. So it's gonna come around, go down into here, they'll merge in the middle with the muffler, because that's the only space we have. It'll be better for performance if they can merge and then separate again, in theory. Plus it'll just look super cool. So we're back here at Lucas's shop, SMS Auto and Marine, and we're back at finishing the wiring on this. We had a little relay wiring issue where one of them was kind of doing the opposite of what it should have been, and that's just because we misunderstood Haltech's relays, because they're not a common relay. They work slightly differently. So we didn't screw anything up, it just was not doing exactly what it was supposed to. So we fixed that, and now we are wiring in a few new things that we didn't get done last time, like the oil pressure sensor and a second MAP sensor, manifold absolute pressure sensor. Hopefully, we'll be able to try to start it by the end of the day.
Well, we can definitely make it start. Whether or not it runs, that's Casey's job.
Once again, Casey saved the day because he accidentally went to my house instead of Lucas's shop, which is good because I forgot to stop at my mailbox and pick up the packages that contained this, which is a 255 liter per hour Walbro fuel pump that's inline, which should be massively overkill, and a 100 PSI capable fuel pressure regulator with a gauge, a bypass line, and a boost reference line, which we won't need right now. This is our return line, this is our inlet, this is the pressure side, goes to the fuel rail here, just need a hose clamp on that. And the gauge will just be on here for setting it, and then once it's set, we can take the gauge off because, you know, so it doesn't get broken or in the way or anything.
So what we're going to be doing here is trying to find the difference between where top dead center is on our front cylinder, or in this case number 1 being the left cylinder. We're going to find the difference between that and where the crank trigger is, so we need to figure out the difference so it knows exactly where top dead center is on cylinder 1. So long story short, we're going to end up finding top dead center here and then making a mark on our cam gear, since it's a lot easier to get to than anything on the crankshaft on this motor. And then we'll figure out some kind of a pointer, probably just a piece of wire bolted under something, and figure out where top dead center is in relation to piston and whatnot.
And this all so that the ECU knows when to fire the spark plugs, basically. Well, and the injectors. This engine looks very nice. Look how, I mean, the oil's obviously dark, but like, these cam lobes look perfect. All this should need is a signal ground.
Yeah.
You guys figuring something out?
Yeah, check this out. Check out my button. This is cool. So, oops, I gotta orient it properly. So we've got power on. Sorry, Ethan, did you want to do that?
There's throttle position.
Uh-huh.
And RPM.
Heck yeah.
So that's something. we all put in a valiant effort today to try and get this thing running. Didn't happen because, as far as I can tell, looking at the resources, we need an ignition amplifier for this type of coil on plug coil setup. The original ECU didn't have an external amplifier, but that's because it was all set up from the factory and it could do exactly what these coils wanted. But to run this setup with the ECU we have, as far as I can tell without actually talking to tech support, we need an ignition amplifier from Haltech. So we'll see if we can get that. We'll talk to them, and that'll give us some more time to set up some of the other systems more properly, and then we'll do a test start.
Hey, I'm Lucas. I own SMS Auto and Marine here in Sandpoint. This is our new shop we just had built. Come on in and take a look. So this is what we call the clubhouse. It's basically a waiting room slash place to hang out slash place to work on projects. So this is a Cadillac 500 motor that was actually in a friend of ours nostalgia dragster. It's a tube frame dragster that he built. We helped him wire it up, and he's now upgrading motor, so he wants to go faster. And he had this one sitting around, and we thought, well, shoot, what should we do with it? So we picked up a late 40s, early 50s Chevy truck cab to 5-window. We got it in the back, I'll show it to you. That's gonna sit right here. The idea is those tires shouldn't last more than a couple days once we get it running. Got these sweet doors here that Haley built for us. So this is the shop side. This is where we do all the work. We've got quite a few projects in here at the moment. It's 1950 Studebaker Champion that is a 6-volt positive ground system that we converted. Basically redid all the original wiring because it's all cloth and it just falls apart. This is my personal race car. We like to autocross. 97 Impreza Brighton Coupe. I've had a bunch of Subarus. This is the lightest all-wheel drive chassis that Subaru ever made in the Impreza platform. I searched for 2 years to find this particular one. Picked up for 350 bucks with the crunched front end and a broken windshield. A couple of airbags had gone off. Basically gutted it, and now it's got a 2.5 high compression NA motor that I built, 06 STI Brembo brakes, aluminum lateral links control arms, the half cage from Auto Power. Got the Corview racing seats. That's probably the best upgrade by far. Here at SMS, we do anything electrical on cars and boats. So 12 volt, you name it, from ground up rewires on hot rods, harness merging, lots of lighting upgrades, light bars, headlight builds, LED upgrades, that kind of stuff. We do troubleshooting and repair. So you got trailer brakes, lighting on your truck or trailer, heavy equipment, two-way radios. Of course, we do stereos, lots of remote starts in the winter, smartphone integration, that's a big one, backup cameras, GPS navigation. I mean, the list goes on and on. So this is the Chevy cab that's going on the Rat Rod project. At this point, we're not sure if we're going to leave the paint the way it is or go flat black, but something that's kind of neat. A friend of ours showed us that the back seat from 2000's Dodge Durango fits almost perfectly in almost all these old trucks. So it fits right there. You've got seat that tilts down, you can get the storage behind it. Best of all, the center has cup holders.
Boom. Modern.
Yeah, nice upgrade for an old truck.